So the Boruto Timeskip, one of the most actively talked about topics, one of the most highly anticipated moments in the Boruto side of the Naruto franchise, is still on the table for discussion. And as we near towards Boruto manga chapter 60, persons are still asking and still trying to predict when is the Boruto Timeskip going to take place. Welcome everyone, Sanjay Uchiha here, your friendly neighborhood Uchiha. Of course, welcome back to the channel. Hope you guys are having an awesome day. As we do here with these Boruto discussions, we try to start a discussion with you guys. So I hope you guys tune in, let me know your thoughts, and hopefully we can have some back and forths in the comment section. But as you can already tell, today we'll be discussing the Boruto Timeskip expectations and a number of stuff that actually need to actually, how should I put it? Just actually need to happen. Need to be presented on the table before the time skip actually takes place, or at least in my opinion. So yeah, so strap in, we're gonna have that discussion starter. Of course, if you're new here, be sure to leave a like, subscribe. We're almost at 2,000 subscribers, quote unquote. So yeah, but yeah, the Boruto time skip, so similar to how I've done for the last 10-20 chapters, I've been trying to predict when the Boruto time skip was going to take place, and to be honest, I was actually expecting the time skip to take place, like next chapter, chapter 60, but as it stands right now, it seems like we're still a few chapters off, and I'm going to even go on a limb and predict that, try and predict at least, that the time skip is actually going to take place later than we think. Not by like 1,000,001 chapters, but maybe 2 chapters later than you think. Because right now, as it stands, I think this last volume will actually set up the time skip. I don't know exactly what volume number we're on right now, but for example, I believe each volume consists of about 5 chapters, give or take. So right now, I would say from chapter 60 to 65, which is 6 chapters, should be the final nail in the coffin for the setup for the Boruto time skip. And with it being potentially, with it potentially taking place later than I actually think, I'm going to go on to predict on record that I think the time skip is going to be probably next year, April, or probably March. So that should take us to about chapter 67, 66, 68 at most, give or take. So yeah, so thereabout. But the point is, a number of things actually need to happen before the time skip, which kind of contributes to me feeling it's going to take place around chapter 66, 67, or 68 thereabout, give or take next year, April. So that's what we're actually here to go over. Now, of course, similar to any time skip in any typical shonen anime, like there has to be some major setups, some major world changes, some major set pieces to motivate the main set of characters, and some pieces in place to actually motivate the antagonistic forces in the story. So yeah, so let's kind of go it over. So the first thing is Naruto and Sasuke, right? With Kishimoto back in the picture, I am going to assume he has some plan for them. Now, of course, as we go further and further along in the story, of course, the plan is to more than likely phase out these, 2 juggernauts who used to hold the reigning title before Jigen came into the picture and beat their asses. So, yeah. So the thing is, I don't think Kishimoto is just going to leave Naruto and Sasuke by the wayside, because if he does, it would make things like really contrived. It would really be shouting into the faces of us, the audience, that yo, we're really doing all of this to really like push Boruto into the picture, and nothing's wrong with that. But if we're really taking all the inspiration, or if there are a lot of things that are being drawn from Dragon Ball's Android or Cell saga, then we know that old generation characters can get the push while still pushing your new generation character into the spotlight. There's no reason for Naruto and Sasuke to stop growing. They can still, be put to use. They can still improve their skills, especially with their recent nerfs. I'd find it hard to believe that Naruto and Sasuke don't, try to find some way to become relevant again, or at least still remain in some useful capacity in this upcoming fight against Code and the remainder of Kara. So in order for things not to be contrived, there should be like some mini character arcs in terms of power and skill set with Naruto and Sasuke are going to go on. So that's one thing I'm expecting with these next 5 to 8 chapters. So that's one thing that I think Kishimoto definitely needs to go over. Now, the second thing is Kawaki's character arc. As we saw the last 2 chapters give or take between the sparring match with Team 7 and last chapter where we had Amado offer him the artificial karma seal, as I call it. Kawaki's character arc is going to play a major role in these next 5 chapters, to say the least, especially with Ikimoto, who last year, if not early this year, said that the flash forward scene that we had with Kawaki and Boruto is actually not far off. So yeah, Kawaki's character arc actually might be put, probably some gas maybe put on that, and will actually push forward with more Kawaki, more so than usual when it comes down to these next 5 chapters. Because as we saw last chapter, right now Kawaki is in a psychological and emotional conflict, internally speaking, as he decides what he's going to do. Is he going to take the karma seal? Is he not going to take the karma seal? This symbol, so to speak, that kind of represents the life he had at Kara, the bondage that he's always been under for most of his life. It's a constant reminder of it, but at the same time he needs the power to actually go up against Code and the remainder of Kara. So he has that conflict that's going on with himself right now, and it kind of does come into conflict with his mindset of trying to do things Naruto's way, but at the same time he believes that the traditional ways of actually doing things as a shinobi isn't really the most efficient way, which might definitely contribute to him taking the karma seal, which he more than likely will, since we see him with a karma seal in the future. But all in all, these themes of old generation versus new generation, science and technology versus traditional means of doing things, all these things are themes that are echoed through Kawaki's struggle to his current character arc that he's going through, that's going to lead us to the whole versus match, the whole match against him and Boruto in the flash forward. So there's definitely a lot to actually build up and pay off and actually just showcase to us, the audience, with all of that, with Kawaki's little arc right there. So yeah. Now, one of the core things that I think that ties all of these points together, because my last point would have been Team 7's training and their motivation, but more so than that, the conflict with Code and the remainder of Kara, such as Ida, the Daemon, the other cyborgs, if there are going to be more, is going to be kind of like the glue that holds all of these other points together, if I do say so myself. Because right now, any conflict with Code and Ida is going to take place in 2 different fronts. One being the external conflict, where we have Code and Ida taking on Naruto, Sasuke, Kawaki, Team 7, etc, etc. And as a result, depending on how that conflict goes, it is going to really affect the mentality and the outlook of characters like, say, Sarada, Mitsuki, Boruto, Naruto, Sasuke, which would put them in the mindset of, okay, we really are going into a time skip. Probably they get their asses kicked really bad, and for example, in cases like Mitsuki and Sarada, who been kind of slowly but surely accumulating frustrations in terms of how helpful they've been in the recent conflicts, that final nail in the coffin with this conflict with Code would be the final thing I think that would be necessary to put them in that, okay, we are going into time skip training mode kind of vibe, if you get what I mean. So that's the thing, and I think that's what's going to happen with like Sarada and Mitsuki as a result of the conflict with Code and Ida. And of course Naruto and Sasuke, it depends, depending on how they're handled in terms of their quote-unquote mini power character arc growth, it's going to, the fruits of their labor there will be showcased in the fight against Code, just to indicate that give us the audience some idea of how competent they are outside of, or at least now without the Renegon and Kurama. So there's that, and of course their dynamic is going to be important. It's going to be important to establish how their dynamic is going to work in conjunction with the characters that are coming up to take the stage. So of course Boruto, the new generation, etc., etc. So there is definitely that, and of course Boruto, similar to Sarada and Mitsuki, this conflict with Code is definitely going to be the thing that's going to really change things for either the better or worse. Essentially, what I'm saying is that we're going to be put into a situation similar to the end of part 1 Naruto, where definitely the departure of, for example, Sasuke, and the loss of most of Naruto's team getting, you know, heavily injured kind of sparked that motivation. This conflict with Code and Ida and Kari is going to be something in a similar vein, is what I'm saying. So there's that. And of course, I believe there is going to be a wild card, an internal conflict with Code and Ida, because of course I think Kishimoto has already been planting the seeds of there is going to be some follow-up between Code and Ida, more than likely, but more so than that, the wild card I feel needs to be something more so Otsutsuki related that's going to change the playing field of how Code and Ida and remainder of Kara operates. And of course, by extension, even though that is somewhat of an internal thing for Kara, it is going to trickle down and affect how characters like Naruto, Sasuke, Kawaki, Team 7, and the rest of the characters operate as well. So that's one thing to look at it. But that wild card being something Otsutsuki based, maybe Code makes contact, somebody contacts Code about, yo, XYZ, what's happening with Jigen, etc., etc., and that kind of sets things off for the time skip after a potential fight between him and Naruto and Sasuke and the rest of Team 7. So there's that to look at as well. And of course, lastly, Amado and Kashin Koji. Something big more than likely is going to be revealed when it comes on to their characters and their past and their connections to Kara. So that is quite a bit of content to cover in potentially 5, well, originally I was going to say that the time skip would have been chapter 65, but with all of that, potentially I think it's safer to say maybe chapter 67, if not 68. So let me know what you guys think, which would put us to about what, April, give or take, right? Yeah, April, because the last chapter for the year should be chapter 65, January, February, March, and then time skip, yeah, so that would be chapter 69. So yeah, let me know if I'm talking nonsense or if I'm making some semblance of sense. So yeah, quite a bit of content to cover, but I think it might be the best move for Kishimoto not to rush it. And in the grand scheme of things with Kishimoto now, I think it would be safe to assume that, yo, even if the time skip were to happen at one particular point, Kishimoto might have decided to slow things down a bit, change plans. You never know, these things can happen, because for the longest while, we know that the story was, well, based on an interview with Ikemoto, he wanted the story to end within 28 volumes, but I don't know, at this rate, I don't see it happening. So there is definitely that. Anyway, let me know what you think. Let me know if these things that I talked about in this video are things that are more than likely need to be covered before the time skip actually happens. Because at the end of the day, there needs to be some foundation and motivation for the characters, and some wild cards thrown in there, some stakes for the characters to actually prepare for, but at the same time a balance between the characters that we're pushing out and the characters we're pushing in, between Naruto and Sasuke versus, you know, Team 7 and Kawaki. There needs to be a balance and a dynamic, because listen to me. I would love to see an older teen Boruto and Naruto, that father-son, like a sick team battle between the two of them working together with, yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, things have kind of been set up for Boruto to catch up to Naruto power-wise, so it'd be kind of cool to see Boruto on that same level working with Naruto. Yo, that would be sick. So yeah. But anyway, I think I've rambled on long enough. Let me know what you guys think. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Leave a like, comment. As I said, this is a discussion starter, so I'm looking forward to talking with you guys. Sanjay Uchiha, and I'll see you in the next Boruto video.